Did you know that just a 1% difference in ETF fees could cost you over $100,000 in retirement savings over 30 years? Choosing the wrong ETF for your RSP can quietly sabotage your future. In this video, you'll learn the ETF categories that work best inside an RSP, the 4 critical levers that drive your returns, fees, diversification, taxes, and risk fit, how to confidently compare 2 ETFs side by side to know which one's right for you, and if you stick around to the end, you'll get a preview of what really happens to your RSP at retirement, plus the tax saving strategies most Canadians miss. One of the biggest mistakes I see is people think there's a single best ETF for an RRSP. But just like the best vehicle depends on your trip, the right ETF depends on your situation. A Ferrari might be exciting, but it's a terrible choice for a family road trip across Canada. An SUV or a minivan might not be flashy, but they're built for the journey. ETFs work in the same way. What's best depends on your goals. Without a framework, people often chase hype or big name brands and end up with the financial equivalent of a Ferrari on a cross-country drive. When it comes to ETFs, I like to simplify things. There are endless subcategories, but I break them into 3 big buckets. As of 2025, there are over 1,600 ETFs in Canada. Without a framework, it's overwhelming. So let's go from simple to most complex. Index ETFs are the dependable workhorses. They track an index like the S&P 500 or the TSX, giving you broad diversification and very low fees. They're built for long-term growth. The trade-off? You'll never beat the market because you are the market. Think of them as the Toyota or Honda of your financial road trip, reliable and built to get you there. Actively managed ETFs charge higher fees because a manager is trying to beat the market. Sometimes you get outperformance, sometimes not. Think of it as hiring a tour guide. They might improve the trip, but they cost more and can take wrong turns. Exotic ETFs include sector funds, factor strategies, or even cryptocurrencies. They can juice returns in the short run, but they're riskier and not always suited to an RSP. They're the Ferrari or motorcycle. Exciting, but not what you drive across Canada. Bottom line, none are good or bad on their own. The real question is, which type fits your financial journey? Once you know the categories, the next step is learning how to compare them. There are 4 levers that really drive RSP growth. Fees. A 1% fee can cost 6 figures over decades. Index funds usually win here. Active funds cost more, and exotics are often the highest. Diversification. Are you buying one country or the whole world? Broad index funds usually give the widest reach at the lowest cost. Active can diversify, but managers sometimes concentrate. Exotics, by design, are narrow and not diversified. Tax treatment. Thanks to the Canada-US Treaty, US stocks or US listed ETFs held directly in an RSP don't face US withholding tax on dividends. But if you buy US exposure through a Canadian ETF, the withholding still happens inside the fund and can't be recovered. With international ETFs, foreign countries always withhold some dividends, and sometimes you face 2 layers depending on structure. The key point, these issues matter most for dividend-heavy ETFs. If a US fund pays little in dividends, the drag is small. Risk profile and time horizon. In your 30s or 40s, leaning more heavily on equities makes sense. You've got decades to ride out volatility. But as retirement approaches, protecting what you've built becomes just as important as growth. At that stage, shifting towards dividend or bond ETFs can smooth volatility and make withdrawals more predictable. Now let's put it all together with a simple framework. The goal isn't to find a magic ticker symbol, it's to match ETF types with your stage of life. Example number 1, a younger couple in their 30s. Both are working, retirement is decades away, and they're building their RRSPs. For them, the framework points towards broad, low-cost index ETFs. Fees are minimal, tax drag from dividends is not a big issue, and volatility is manageable because they won't touch the money for years. Example number 2, a couple in their early 60s. Retirement is near, and they'll start withdrawals within 5 years. Their framework looks different. They might still hold equity indexes for growth, but add dividend ETFs or bond ETFs to provide steadier income and reduce volatility. Here, the tax treatment of dividends and stable distributions matter more than squeezing out every bit of growth. The lesson? The best ETF for RRSPs is never the same for everyone. It depends on your stage of life and your goals. The framework helps line up your ETF choices with your real financial journey. Most Canadians focus all their energy on building their RRSP, but the real danger zone is what happens after that. If you don't have a clear strategy for your RIF conversion or withdrawals, you could end up losing thousands in taxes. And the kicker, it's totally avoidable. That's why in the next video, I'm walking you through exactly what happens to your RRSP at retirement and the smart withdrawal strategies that could save you thousands.